Hi everyone, my name is Remi. Today I'll be sharing my coursework final. This presentation reflects how I've integrated my personal coaching values with established frameworks to effectively manage the complex dynamics between athletes and teams. Excuse me. This is my coaching philosophy. Coaching philosophy is to cultivate a high energy soccer environment where fun, mutual respect, and peer support are the foundational standards. I believe the confidence is the engine of performance, and my role is to empower players to unlock their potential by providing a brave space where they feel safe to challenge their technical limits and take creative risks on the ball. In my session, I intentionally reframe mistakes as learning cues rather than failures. By removing the fear of whistle, I foster the culture of creative bravery where players are encouraged to experiment with new skills like 1v1 moves or ambitious passing without fear of criticism. This ensures that every error becomes a necessary data point for their long-term development. I am committed to providing consistent, specific, and positive feedback to drive technical growth. Rather than focusing on the scoreboard, I praise the process such as scanning the field, body shape, or transition speed. This growth-first approach ensures that players stay motivated by their own mastery and genuine love for the game. Ultimately, I coach to develop the whole person, using soccer as a classroom for life. By prioritizing psychological safety and empowerment, I aim to build resilient, courageous young athletes who understand that effort and attitude are their greatest assets. I want my players to leave the pitch with self-belief and grit necessary to succeed both in sport and in life. In line with my coaching philosophy, I believe in the developmental model of sports participation. Athletes in the 10 to 12 years old are the range in the sampling phase. My philosophy of rotating position isn't just about variety, but it's also about building a robust motor skill library. Research has shown that early diversification leads to better long-term performance and significantly lower dropout rates compared to early specialization, where kids often burn out by 13. This also allows them to develop fundamental movement skills, which are essential in most sports, which also be transferable when they eventually choose their preferred sports to specialize in. Allowing them to have a variety also reduce the risk of injuries and burnout at early age. I emphasize deliberate play because it mirrors the actual games. In soccer, 10-year-olds don't learn from standing in lines, but they learn more by having ball at their feet while facing a defender. This representative design ensures that the technical skills they develop in training transfer to soccer matches. Finally, we look at long-term retention. By prioritizing play, we tap into child's intrinsic motivation, their natural desire to play for the sake of play. When training feels like a game rather than a chore, we protect their mental well-being and ensure that they stay within our club system for years to come. Cognitive development. For 10 to 12 years old soccer players, the cognitive domain is about moving from being told what to do to seeing what to do. If I give instruction, I am doing the thinking for them. By using my growth-first philosophy, I let them make mistakes, which forces their brain to analyze the pitch, scan for teammates, and develop a tactical intelligence needed for high-level soccer. In the effective domain, we are dealing with the emotional heart of the player. At this age, children are terrified of looking silly in front of their friends. By creating a brave space where mistakes are okay, I'm protecting their mental health. When a player feels emotionally safe, they don't play scared. They play with the freedom and confidence that lead to peak performance. Finally, the psychomotor. The psychomotor domain is the physical link. There is a psychological fact in coaching. Stress creates tension, and tension destroy a technique. A player who is worried about being criticized will have a heavy first touch because their muscles are tight. By keeping the environment fun and high energy, I lower the stress levels, allowing their bodies to move fluidly. This is how we maximize technical development during this critical coordination window. Now, looking at how my philosophy meets reality, every team goes through a development process, and I evaluate mine using Tuckman linear theory. Right now, we are stuck. We move past the polite forming stage and we are firmly in a storming phase. What does that look on the pitch? It's resistance. It's players questioning roles and occasionally infighting when things go wrong. This is often caused by role conflict. Players are confused about their job, position, or feel they are carrying too much of a load. From CAP perspective, this is where brave space breakdown. If our social cohesion is low, players don't trust each other. If our task cohesion is low, they doesn't work together. Essentially, the engine of performance has stalled because parts are grinding against each other instead of moving in sync. To get us to norming phase, I had to change a strategy, which I will explain in the next slide. So to overcome these barriers, I align the team with the grow first philosophy. I focus on building an effective team climate. First, I utilize proximity by organizing a training camp to foster interaction and help the athletes get to know each other outside of the high pressure drills. Next, to resolve the role conflict, I work on role acceptance. Following example of successful team like the 90s Chicago Bulls, I emphasize that team success depends on every person's unique contribution. I facilitated a meeting to establish productivity norms, including the whole team in the decision-making process to ensure they felt ownership of the standards. The outcome was a shift back to task interdependence. By instilling the idea that we win and lose together, the players move from me to we, successfully transitioning into the norming stage, where cooperation and unity are the new standards. Now we move into individual. Moving into my evaluation of individual barriers, I will share on how I handle athletes under pressure using McGrath 4-stage stress process to figure out why one of my key players has hit the wall. It started with a high-stakes game, but the issue was athlete cognitive appraisal. They convinced themselves they weren't good enough, which triggered a massive stress response. On the pitch, this looked like a high anxiety and a sudden drop in performance. Because they felt they were failing. Our relationship started to strain. They stopped coming to me for advice, which Martens called a breakdown in relationship management loop. My brief space was failing this individual because their internal stress was louder than my external coaching. To fix this, I had to change how I communicate. So to overcome this, I had to stop and start listening as coaches with influence monopolizing the listening. So I will listen to the players and practice empathy. I didn't judge the performance, but look at the issue from his point of view. I helped them with cognitive reappraisal. We took that scary demand and reframed it as a positive stress, an exciting challenge that they were actually prepared for. I gave them informational support, clear, useful facts about their skill to rebuild their confidence. The outcome was a complete shift in the behavior. By being consistent, credible listener, I repaired the relationship. The athlete moved from a state of avoidance to approach. This proved that in my coaching philosophy, the brave space is maintained not by what I say, but by how well I hear what my players are going through. Now we move on to practical application. In my philosophy, the brave space is built on competence. If a player doesn't have the physical tool to meet the demand, they will stay stuck in the threat appraisal we discussed. This training session has designed to give them those tools. For this 10 to 12-year-old group, I designed a 12-minute circuit focus on neuromuscular adaptation. As their coach, I provide what Matan call informational support. By using specific coaching cues like show the badge on your jersey or land like a ninja, I am giving them relevant and useful facts that translate complex mechanics into simple, achievable actions. This directly impacts the affective domain. By mastering movement like snap down or goblet squats, the athletes build self-efficacy. They move from being unsure of their bodies to being statues, stable, strong, and confident. We aren't just building muscles here, we are building injury insurance, and the belief that they can handle the physical demands of the game. Because this is the golden age of learning, I focus on teaching the brain to fire muscles efficiently before adolescence growth spurt. By the end of the training, the athlete didn't just move better, they felt more secure in their roles, providing that high-quality technical training is the ultimate form of relationship management. To wrap things up, this reflection has shown me that being a growth-first coach is about being an intentional coach who manages both people and process with precision. By looking at my team through the lens of Tuckman's linear theory, I realized that the friction we may face wasn't just a sign of failure, but a natural storming phase that may require me to step in and define role clarity. I learned that to maximize our actual productivity, I will need to proactively fix those faulty processes, like social loafing, by building a climate based on identifiable and mutual respect. On the individual level, I've seen that the brave space is a psychological requirement for performance. By understanding McGrath's stress process, I will now know how to catch a player in a critical cognitive appraisal stage. Instead of letting them see a match as a threat, I use smartened interpersonal skills, specifically high influence listening, to help them reframe the pressure into a challenge. Ultimately, my philosophy is the why, and these academics frameworks are the how. My goal is to build athletes who are technically proficient, but more importantly, emotionally resilient. I want my players to leave the pitch knowing that whether they are facing a team conflict or personal stressor, they have the support of a coach who sees the whole person so they can become a better player with character. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you.